Hey, hello. I'm going to be brewing a Hoppy Amber Ale. Got 8 pounds of 2-row. I've got 1 pound of Crystal 40, 1 pound of German Munich, another pound of German Munich, 1 pound of Crystal 60L. I've got a pound of Crystal 120, but I'm going to use half of that. For my bitter hops, I've got 1 ounce of Horizon for 60 minutes, 1 ounce of Cascade for 10 minutes, and then as my final hop in the last 1 minute, I'll be using Galazy hops, so I'll give some good aroma there. And then I use my trusted Safel US-05 for nice clean ale that lets a lot of hop flavor and aroma come through. And I'll be crushing all up with the barley crusher there. Alright, hello everybody. This is my 3-stand gravity style beer stand for all grain brewing. 8-gallon aluminum kettles. They're actually steamers. I put a bulkhead standstill fitting here, so it's my hot water kettle. Going down to, don't have the money to afford a nice one, so I use an Igloo cooler, 36 quart. And you can see I use little mesh screens there to help filter everything out. Got the bulkhead fitting. Goes to a hose, so I can gravity feed from there down to my aluminum wort kettle, and then from there I have an immersion chiller and cool it down, and then I'm ready to pitch my yeast and let it ferment. So that's my little gravity stand my brother-in-law made up for me, all stainless steel tubing. Propane tank, got a little needle valve on there so I can control the flow rate, and then I got shut-off valves for each of these burners. Don't have a burner here yet because kind of hard to do on a Igloo cooler. And that's pretty much it. Okay, I got my water going, so I'll let that heat up to about 170. It's kind of cold today, so maybe 175, and then I'm aiming for a strike temperature, maybe 155. I'm going for a Hoppy Amber Ale. I want to get some of those good unfermentable sugars out of it, so we'll leave a little sweet, a little more body. And then here's my setup. All my ingredients I already went over for the Hoppy Amber Ale. And then got a barley crusher here with a 5-gallon bucket, a little inexpensive drill motor. So I'll mill up all my grain here, get that all ready while that's heating up. And then once that up to temp, then I'll gravity fill it to here, and then dump my grain in there, and then stir it up and let it sit for an hour. Okay, so I put my hot water in there. I forgot to tell you guys. So I use about 12 pounds of grain in this one. My setup, I've been successful with 1.5 quarts per pound. So it's just about 5 gallons of water, maybe a hair less. I measured out, filtered beforehand through carbon filter. So I added the water, I added the crushed grain, stirred it all up. There she is. And I'm aiming like for 155, 156. So I just kind of moved this around. I overshot. It's a real cold day today, so I let my water get a little hotter than I wanted it to. But I want to be on the safe side than undershoot. 160.7. Don't know if you guys can see that. So that's fine. This ice chest is old. It loses a lot of temperature throughout the hour, especially it being only like 35, maybe 45 degrees out here. And what I did to help this out is, I don't know if you can see here, but I drilled some holes and put some of that foam, that great stuff in here, that expanding foam, filled the entire lid, and now actually this thing holds temperature pretty darn good. So like I said, I'll stir it every 15 minutes, and then for an hour, and once that's done, I'll collect about a small pitcher full, then kind of recircuit back in through some aluminum foil, stab some holes in, so I don't disturb the grain bed until the grain bed settles, and then that's a Vorloff there, and then the rest of it will go into here. And once that's done collecting, at the same time I'll be heating this up and make sure I have my hot sparge water. I use about the same 1.5 gallons or quarts per pound, so there'll probably be another 5 gallons in there. That should get me about 7 pounds or 7 gallons in this container. Then through boiling and everything for an hour, it'll get down to about 5.5, 6 gallons of what I actually collect in my fermenter. And yeah, more to come. That's about half an hour in, and I'm heating up my hot water for sparge. Now, because I have a nice mash kettle, plastic doesn't like flame for some reason, I don't know why, but I got to put aluminum foil on there, and it works just fine. Use a little something heavy to anchor it down, and that deflects the heat away, and there's no problem with it melting the cooler, so I don't have to move it or anything. And let that go another half an hour, stir this once or twice more. At the end, I don't stir it in the last 10 minutes, and I let everything kind of settle out, and that makes it easier to sparge, and or actually drain it off, and then I'll sparge. Okay, it's been an hour, so I put a piece of aluminum foil in here, stab a bunch of holes in it with a sanitized knife. Like I didn't mention earlier, I sanitize everything with Star San, just to make sure everything's clean. I've never had a problem with any bacteria or anything right now, or since I've been brewing. So got my hot water here, like I said, about 1.5, a little over 1.5 quarts per pound, so there's about 5 gallons in there. Hot water about 175 degrees, so I'll do a whirl off of this into a pitcher. So I use this little pitcher right here and fill that baby up, then let the rest of the contents drain in. Then I'll pour this pitcher back into here, let it go through the grain bed, and this will fill up. Once it's done, then I'll shut the valve off, open this valve with the hose on there, fill this back up, stir it up, let it sit for about 5 minutes. Let the contents settle, do another whirl off with this guy, pour it back in there, let everything drain, and once I'm done collecting, I'll kind of hike up this bottom here to kind of let everything drain forward, and make sure I collect everything I can get out of there. And once that's done, then I'll heat this baby up, and I'll show you that next. Pour that back in there, go slow, let it drain through the foil so you don't disturb the bed while the rest is draining into the boil kettle. And nice color there. That's that half pound of Crystal 120. And you see all that nasties you don't want to get in your brew kettle. It's just more stuff you gotta settle out. Got my valves open part way. It's filling up. I'll put the lid on that so nothing falls in there. And yeah, I'll let that finish out and then do my hot water sparge. Okay, finished draining everything into here. That's what I collected so far. Shut the valve off. Now I open that valve. And I don't like to let it bubble like that because I don't want to introduce any oxygen if I don't have to. Get some hot side oxidation, and I don't want that. Alright, then I'll pour the rest of this into there. There's a little bit left because it doesn't get it all stirred up. Let it sit for 5-10 minutes, and then drain it all into there. That should get me about, I don't know, 7-8 gallons, depending on how much the grain held and how long I wait for it to drain all the way. And fire that puppy up and let her boil. Then add my first boil hops. Okay, I put all my sparge water into here, and I got my first whirl off. I collected into here. I actually poured some in already, so I guess I just pour it in like I did earlier. Let's get all those chunks and stuff so they don't go into my boil kettle to keep it clean. I will be using a whirl flock tablet later, about the last 5 minutes of the boil, and that should help drop a lot of the proteins and other junk out. And see all the chunks and stuff in there. I'm fogging up the lens here. And so, valve's open. I like to keep the end of the hose submerged so it can not bubble and stuff, and then let it go. And once that's cool, then I'll boil it. Okay, there it is. I know I've collected enough. See the rivets over there? When it's up to about the rivets, I know that's my setup, so I know that's enough. So I'm going to start boiling. I'll leave the lid on just to get it heated up. Then I take it off because it lets everything boil off that I don't want, the flavors I don't want. Alright,